Shut up and sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Bike lane, don't walk in the bike lane. You're in the bike lane. Can you please move? Bike lane, you're in the bike lane. They built a bike lane. It's not for you.
Get this, you and millions of other smart people are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. Tip of the day, he who asks is a fool for 5 minutes, but he who does not ask remains a fool forever. Don't make Mr. T pity you.
Bike lane, you're in the bike lane. If you leave the lane, thank you.
No one really knows the intricacies of the law, especially when it relates to bicycles.
All right, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Epler.
Lance Romance here dancing for you. Was I dancing for you, Chris?
So pumped for this.
So pumped. I'm dancing to the intro music.
Back in the studio with us, Mr. Evan Price.
How's it going, folks? What are we all drinking? We got LaCroix,
Dude, you're
Kirkland. Oh, wow.
And all
I'm
Kirkland.
key
Odd man
lime.
out.
Everybody else is.
For those watching on YouTube will see that Evan is
Yeah.
the one
I've been
thing
having
that's
a
not like the
lot of
others.
key lime flavor lately.
That is good,
A
though.
lot of key
Just
lime
because it was on
flavor.
sale?
Mostly because it mixes well with tequila, so that was...
I'm sure that's what it is.
Hey, we've got a special guest with us today. You guys know him, you love him, Mr. Chris Hannell. Actually, Dr. Chris Hannell. How are you doing, Chris?
Dr. Mr.
Chris
Hannell.
is fine.
Dr. Hannell, pleasure to have you here. Or can I call you Dr. Shabadoo? I like that better. Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo.
Yeah. That's his secret name. We're not supposed to be revealing that on air.
Wait.
So nobody knows who he is on Strava.
I'm at a race a couple weeks ago, and I have a guy walk up to me, and he goes, I got a question for you.
I
I'm
know.
like, yeah. He's like, who is this Joey Jojo
No,
Jr.
no.
Shabadoo? He's taking all the KOMs. Who is
Yeah,
this
he's
guy?
like 90 KOMs in Portland.
See, I got this friend named Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo.
That's the worst name I ever heard.
Joey Jojo!
Hey, it's Joey Jojo.
It's Joey Jojo.
For anybody who doesn't know, that's how many people listening to this do you think know what show that's from? I would say most.
I would hope that you would at least recognize the first voice.
See,
Yes.
I got this friend
Yeah,
named
I would hope.
Joey Jojo
Everybody knows Bart. I don't know.
Jr.
That's
Yeah, I got
Homer.
this
So you
Homer,
don't
my
know.
bad, Homer, my bad. That's his kid is Bart. Homer, yes, I do that.
How did you come up with that name, Chris?
It's in the show. When I was first getting on Strava, oh man, that's a longer story. You don't have time on the
He's
podcast.
trying to protect
But
his online identity.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Cycling, unfortunately, has become a bigger part of my life. But back in the day, I did not want it to be a huge part of my life.
Sure.
And for the whole Strava thing, it's like, well, it's not really me. I don't want to put my name up there. I got to think of a really stupid name. And it's in the show.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the worst name I ever heard, right? From Mo. I'm like, that's perfect. And it's one of my favorite episodes. I love that. That's the only part he has in the entire 30 years or whatever that The Simpsons have been out.
That is my favorite Strava alias by far.
I'm sure
like by
everybody-
far of everyone I've ever seen. That's the best.
Everybody remembers their first encounter with that avatar
Who is
and
this
name.
guy?
Oh, the first year I lived here, I didn't connect that when we were going on rides, you were him. I had no idea for the longest time.
I still remember to this day, I was out doing a training ride. It was the first time I'd ever ridden with Monster Media Racing. And it was the day I met like Jordan Rickards and a few other people. And Jordan and I, coming back, we were on Marine Drive, dropping the hammer. We didn't know each other, but we kind of like figured out quickly that we both like to go fast. And we had a tailwind that day, and we were trading poles. We were going 34, 35 miles an hour was like our average speed. And we came back and we had a couple crowns, right? I'm like, that's going to be hard for somebody to beat that because he and I were just drilling that. That's back when I used to have legs, and it was awesome. Oh, it was, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours later, I get this, you just lost your KOM to Joey Joe Jr. Shabadoo. I'm like, who in the world is that? And you even
What
chimed
guy
in,
in
you
a
said
car
something
is
like quirky funny. It was awesome. I'm like, this guy's pretty cool.
Oh, that was It's all about the tailwind, baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That you get in the gorge, you learn how to deal with
That
winds.
east wind, yeah.
and you get that east wind going in the wintertime.
Sure.
You're spinning out that compact. I love it.
Yeah, it's a bright blue, sunny day. It was the east wind was howling, and we were flying. And just a short while later, I only had that KOM for a moment's notice.
Yeah.
A minute.
Any long Shabadoo, any long segment is subject to the Shabadoo for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
This guy knows how to get arrow and
Yep.
fast.
Yep.
So awesome. Let's do some backpedaling.
We can pretend like Matt's here for a half second. It's his birthday.
Happy
Matt, thank you.
birthday, Matt. He is
Happy
spending the
birthday,
day
LeGrand.
with his family doing family things.
Is Matt 42
Yes.
now? That's what I thought. Because I was at his 40th, and I thought that was 2 years
Yeah.
ago. So, yeah.
42.
Okay. 42. God, he's old.
Yeah, he's. I think he's going to film and put out a video today. I think he does that every year on his birthday
Does
as
he?
well. So
He does, yeah.
YouTube.com/M Legrand.
M. Legrand.
He will put out a video later on today. You should go watch that. Give him a little thumbs up.
Comment on his power meter videos coming up. Those will be,
He's killing it.
yeah, those will be fun.
Well, he's giving away those power meters that he
Yeah.
got too, which is
people need to
fantastic.
comment
That's
on
a
that.
expensive power meter set
They
that he
are,
got there.
yeah.
The Garmin Rally.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Crazy. Cool. All right, some backpedaling. Lance, you raced this past weekend. Go.
I did some racing this last weekend.
You did an interesting race, though.
Yeah, so kind of an odd thing. There was a cyclocross race in March, kind of a new format. There's these race promoters up in the Seattle area are trying to attract a UCI event to the Seattle area. And so this was kind of a test event for the site. It was in Port Angeles, which is a part of the Olympic Peninsula. It was a beautiful site on a private, like, extreme sports complex that had, like, ropes courses and
Nice.
yeah. So
Port Angeles is really cool.
yeah,
so.
Port Angeles is a beautiful area,
Yeah.
not far from the Olympic National Park. And so they put on this race, and they decided to do it because it's March in March Madness style, bracket style. So that's what they did.
Really?
Yeah. So
How's that work?
what they did was there were prelim races of 10 people each, and the top 3 or 4 would
to the next
advance
bracket,
to the
yeah.
next round. And then those would race, and then the top ones would go on to the next round. So that was the idea, is to have like 30 50-year-olds in 3 waves. And
All in the same day.
yeah. So, but the races would be 4 laps, and then 2 laps, and then 2 laps. So not a whole lot.
Time-wise, how long would that work out to?
Like it was like a 35-minute race, and then like a 20-minute race.
Okay.
Or less.
Yeah.
So that was the idea. But because it's March and it's hard to sell cyclocross in March, they had only like 85 people sign up. So they kind of cut things down quite a bit. Of course, the biggest field of the day was the 50-plus-year-olds. Go figure. There was actually a former national champion in the field. A guy won the 55 to 59 cyclocross national championships 3 years ago, and he was there, but he wasn't.
Nice.
He
A little
wasn't-
off form.
He was a little out of form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our group had 20 people in it. There was a prelim race. It was 4 laps. I won it by a couple minutes. That was after turning it off for the whole last lap.
We need to have a race that you have at least somebody stay with you until the last lap for some fireworks. Like,
Well,
this is-
anytime there's younger people, I get smoked. So
Yeah.
But the course, beautiful spot for a course, but it was a mud bog. There was so much mud. It was so way muddier than all of us expected. It hadn't rained in a long time, so we're all thinking, oh, this is going to be fast and flat, and it was not fast or flat. It was mud bog. Anyway.
Do you have a pit bike?
I did, but there was no pit because they were short races.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
and it was only 4 laps, so you just kind of went for it. But yeah, I won the prelim race, and what the race organizers they did is they just advanced 4 people from each wave. So there were 8 of us that went to the finals in the 50. And they lumped us with the 30-year-olds and just said, okay, all you guys just go together. So the 30-plus finalists and the 50-plus finalists, we all raced together, but you kind of knew who the 50s were because we were all kind of eyeballing each other anyway.
Also, because the age difference between 30 and 50, generally in the looks of a person, is going to be just slightly different.
Yeah. Shut your mouth.
That's kind of like you and me. I mean, we're very...
Yeah, we almost look exactly the same,
I wouldn't
right?
mistake you for my age, is what I'm saying.
So that was kind of exciting. And in the finals race, we all raced together. We took off. We only did 3 laps for the final race, and
that's a lot of racing in one day.
Well, it was like 35 minutes. So here's what happened. I did the first race, went and washed and cleaned my bike immediately, and then jumped right on the trainer so that I wouldn't cool down, because there was only like 45 minutes between races.
Yeah.
It wasn't long between races. So I just sat on the trainer and kept spinning until it was time for the next race, and then I jumped on and went to the start line so that I didn't like seize up or whatever. But yeah, in a final race, it was 3 laps long, and after the first half a lap, me and 2 guys had pulled kind of way off the front, and they were both 30-year-olds, so I had kind of dusted the rest of the 50-year-olds.
And you knew that they were 30-year-olds, right? You were very aware of it.
Well, it was kind of funny. We're like, with a lap to go, I'm right on their wheel. There are 3 of us, and we're all like riding together, and I'm just like, hey guys, I'm 50. I'm not in your age group, so you don't have to worry about me. And of course, one of them just like waved me through. Just come past me then. Get off my wheel. Just come past me. That was Scott Schultz.
Yeah, but why should you have to get off his wheel?
I don't know. I'm fine back here. I didn't have to go. We were way
exactly.
So how far behind the leader was Scott, or were you in between the leader?
Oh, we were within seconds. We were in a group.
I know. There's 3 of you.
Yeah,
you and 2 30-year-olds.
Oh, he just wanted you out of the way for this. But why didn't he want you on his wheel?
Did they both let you go?
No, I didn't catch the front guy.
So you were in between first and third.
First and second.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he let you go by. Was he wanting to pace you, maybe, or
I think he
probably.
was.
Yeah.
I think he was losing it.
Oh, gotcha.
I think he was like starting to slow down, and so
that would have been fun for you to sit back there and just kind of bait him a little bit, or just like kind of poke and like harass him, give him a little cycle heckling. Yeah,
that was not happening. So anyway, I won.
Look at that.
Wait, where is it?
Oh, he's pulling something out of a bag here.
Oh yeah, it's another
medal number. What are we doing with the medals here? Wow, that looks heavy. That looks so heavy.
It's
That's
not a
high
medal.
quality.
It's
a cardboard.
It's a woodle. Another woodle.
Be careful there, doctor. You're gonna snap it if you grip it too hard.
But PNW Extreme Champion 50 plus.
That's an extreme champion.
Thank you very much.
That's a good champion.
Congratulations, my friend. That's pretty cool.
So that was exciting.
Right on.
So, and they're trying to attract that, a UCI race, which would be fantastic. It'd be a great venue for it.
I'd go up and watch that.
Yeah.
We get that in PDX Worlds. That'd be great.
Yeah, no kidding.
My gosh.
That'd be fun.
Cool. Dr. Hannell, what'd you do this last week? What you been up to, man?
Same thing I do went to work, rode my bike.
I believe that Sean Martin has some interesting questions for you here.
Oh, wow.
Put up with the kids.
How do you do it, Chris? How do you do it?
For the doc, yeah. How do you do it?
You push big watts, and wind doesn't touch you very good. So that's
I think it's partly cycling's a weird sport. It's an incredible sport. It's awesome in that anybody that wants to do it can and can find their niche.
Yep.
You could be any size or age or whatever. And most kids have the opportunity to have a bike growing up. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
I had a bike growing up, and I had the advantage of growing up in a town of 300. So we ruled that freaking town on a bike.
Oh, biking, right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait, was this Southern Oregon? Aren't you from Southern Oregon somewhere near
in the valley?
Roseburg?
Sublimity. Yes, it got too crowded. It reached 1,000. And then
Time to get out.
And then my parents moved to Umpqua.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like too crowded.
This is just becoming Portland. Let's get out of here. Yeah.
But then you get into high school. You get into grade school, high school, and do all the sports. And did all the sports. Soccer.
You were a soccer player?
Yeah, and that's a longer story. And then football, basketball, baseball. The one sport I was good at, it was too slow, so I gave it up after 8th grade. And then track, because you get to hang out with your friends. So you just do all that stuff. But and you move away from the bike, understandably.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get old, and my knees were never made right, and so they basically ground down to nothing by my 20s. My kneecap, where it fits into my knee. I had a surgery done. It kind of helped a little bit, but I couldn't really run without not being able to walk for 3 or 4 days. I used to run like 6 days a week and blah, blah, blah. And then I got big. And a lot of us middle-aged guys have kind of this story of you get busy with life.
Yep.
And you get big because you stop exercising, doing all this other stuff.
I was 240 in dental school.
You say that's
240.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
Yeah,
I could show you pictures. Yeah. My kids look at pictures from they're like, Dad, is that you? Oh my gosh, you're chubby. So
like residency was hard. Yeah.
I remember the Thanksgiving that I was at home, and my brother, one of my older brothers, rides bike, and 2 of my brother-in-laws ride bike. They did the STP, right?
Yeah.
And they've done it for like 3 years. And I remember him saying, "Hey, dude, we signed you up. You're doing the STP with us this year."
For those that don't know, that's Seattle to Portland.
That's
which
a
is
200-mile ride.
206.
206.
Don't leave out those last 6 miles, man.
And I'm like, that is so stupid. I'm not going to be a stupid cyclist wearing the stupid stuff. Yeah. And no,
I hate those guys.
Well, you're going to do it with us, so you better get to riding. And my wife had a bike she bought when she was 15, and I started riding that to work. I about died the first time I rode to work. But long story short, again, a lot of us have this story. It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt my joints, and I could do it.
Yep.
Exactly.
And I'm like, and then I started to enjoy it. And I'm like, this is pretty dang cool. Right?
Yeah.
And then as I got into it, I'm like, holy crap, I can actually get into shape again. Right? I have something I can do that I enjoy doing that can make me healthy.
Yep.
And I just got hooked into it. And I think you ask, well, how is it? How can you go hard? There's a couple things. One is when you have stuff taken away. I mean, you get older, you just get stuff taken away. That's life.
Yep.
Right? And you get when you have stuff taken. It's like when you injured you broke your ass acetabulum.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I broke my hip.
His low back.
That was, and you were off the bike for a while. And I told you, you will come back stronger. You will. And you have. Have you ever been stronger?
No, dude. I'm way stronger than I was.
Not even close.
And
you get that something taken away, right?
Yeah.
And you realize how valuable that is, and you don't take it for granted. And then you come back, and you have that strength to do that. You realize how limited, and that you don't always have these opportunities in life. Who knows how long my knees are going to last on the bike?
That's exactly why I'm doing every race I can because I know it's not going to last.
No.
Something will happen at some point.
And this is why Joey Jojo Jr. is grabbing every KOM he possibly can.
Because Strava is forever.
Within a 50-mile square radius.
And that's why I think a lot of 40 or 50-year-olds are just as strong as some of these. You mentioned the 30. Yeah, and they have better engines. But you look at some of these cyclocross times for 50-year-olds in Oregon.
Yeah.
It's like 1-2 type of times that they put in the 50. And it's because I think you realize that, hey, life's not forever. And here's your opportunity, and you got to go and take that. I think the other thing is, and not for Evan. Evan's awesome and he's fast. But I think having kids, you learn how to suffer. And it is. A lot of cycling is suffering, right?
100%,
It is suffering, yes.
And you realize that, this is nothing compared to dealing with my kids. Right? And just life in general.
Yeah.
And I think having that experience, you know that suffering's not forever, that there's always a benefit to it.
Yeah.
There's strength to be gained from it.
Hey, I think if there's one way I would describe Dr. Hannell, it's he knows how to suffer.
Suffering takes practice.
Yes, it does. It takes practice.
But it does hurt. There's nothing.
You're right.
There's no reason everybody out there should kick my butt easily. There's nothing special about me. I have exercise-induced asthma. I have bad knees. I'm
matter.
old. I don't have a big head. I don't have great heart and lungs.
I'd
Good
imagine
Lord.
you don't sleep
dad had his
consistently
first heart
10 hours a
surgery.
night either, I'd imagine.
No.
Kind of a busy schedule. Yeah.
My diet is horrible. If I ate better, I could do so much better. But it's just,
I love that answer.
How much?
That's
how
maybe
much are you willing to suffer?
That's maybe my
That's
favorite
right.
answer to how do you ride bikes fast I've ever heard right there.
You have to be able to suffer.
I just love that entire explanation.
I don't think I've ever seen you like suffer though on the bike. You've always got a smile on your face.
It's because he's in
You're
front of
always-
us and we can't see his face.
Yeah.
There's that. There is that.
I actually think it's something about being a medical doctor because Mike Myers would also make people absolutely suffer and was smiling the entire time.
That's true.
I think that's it.
That's true. How many KOMs did you take last week?
Well, we went to
How do
Lincoln
you
City.
find
He's never
new
going to give
ones?
us like a straight
Don't
answer.
tell
But
us.
seriously,
You've been riding in
roughly how
Portland
many?
so long. Whenever you get a new KOM, I was like, how did he find a nut? Like, I'm so confused as to how there are that many KOMs in Portland.
It's so much fun, and it's with Strava. I have my own. There's rules, you guys. There's rules.
There's rules.
There's
Yes.
rules.
I know you guys have tons of talks about Strava, but I have my own where like I can't make my own segment.
Correct.
I've
Okay,
maybe
that's good.
made like 7 or 8 segments the
Okay.
whole time, and it's because why the hell are you on the highway? There's this beautiful road around this lake, and
Yeah.
there's no go ride this.
Yeah.
right. So that's one rule. 2, nothing motorized.
Gotcha.
Right? Can't ride behind anything motorized or. And then
we're in
people say,
agreement.
what about group rides? Shouldn't it be an individual effort? And I'm like, no way. If you're out there on a bike having fun and it's not an e-bike, which I love e-bikes, get out there on your
Yeah,
e-bike,
yeah.
but
Not for KOMs. Yeah.
then that's awesome. If you can take, like, I love it when people take them.
Yeah.
Because that's fun for me. Now, there's another school of thought about that are, too cool for school, right? Where it's like, oh, come on, it's just stupid KO. And you're right. There's plenty of people. It doesn't mean a whole lot.
Right.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
And it gives us that kind of competition.
Yeah, and would you push yourself that hard if that wasn't there?
No.
No, you just go out for a bike ride.
Exactly.
Yeah, and-
so it gives you these goals, and it's a blast.
Absolutely.
14.
He took 14 last week?
He took 14 last week.
That's more than I have in my entire Strava life.
That's pretty much par for the week.
I know it is.
Okay, you had a little incident with your bike, and you had a little fracture that you had to be off the bike for a little bit, and then you got back on it. Whose GPS is that? Hannah, did you get lost? Did you get lost again? Anyway,
Evan, I let Evan
Why is
give me
that?
technology lessons.
Let Evan touch his phone.
You were giving me crap earlier, and this is over
So-
here. He's trying to find his way out of the clinic. That's
I apologize.
but you healed up nicely, and you waited, and you followed the doctor's orders, and the doctor finally said, yes, you may get back on the bike. I don't think you've missed a day since then. And this was back in, what, September?
I've taken a couple days off.
Oh,
I've taken
really?
a couple days off. I've had my share of. I've broken more bones cycling.
A few.
I don't want to discourage people. It's a long. I've learned from
a
every
long
one of
list.
them.
Well, again,
People-
mortal humans who would have gone through the same thing that Hannah went through would probably still be limping around
they wouldn't be
and
touching the
walking
bike, yeah.
and wouldn't be
Yeah.
looking at an exercise bike, let alone out there and taking 14 KOMs last week. And for you, that's just par for the course. That's just that's probably a pedestrian week for you. Like, that's a
No.
little bit down. I only
No.
got 14.
There's some stuff to be had at Lincoln City. There's the one I wanted. Well, I was too pooped, but Webster. Webster.
Oh, yeah.
was- yeah. Yeah, one going up Old Highway 101. It's a beautiful climb, beautiful road, just
Sure.
gorgeous. And he has the one, and I had already. It was towards the end of my. Listen to me making excuses. I sound like freaking Lance.
How much did you miss him by?
yeah.
Oh, by 30 seconds or so.
but the wind
it was
conditions,
second.
right?
No, I don't have any excuses.
So when's your next scheduled trip down there?
But Webster.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
When you hear Webster, you think of like Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
When he says Norman, right? That's Webster.
Newman.
Right?
Newman.
That's how I say it. Newman.
Newman.
That's how Webster.
I actually used that
Webster.
in a Strava title last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was just, I'd been off the trainer for some time, and then I had to get back on it just because work and life and all that stuff, and that was my right title.
So that is, I mean,
Hello,
going
Newman.
after those segments, it does. It pushes you more.
Oh, yeah.
And that can only, especially if you pick the long ones, you got to push for longer and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because I have no high end and I'm just a one trick pony. That's it. I can grind, and
I am
that's
too.
it.
Yeah.
The other thing is junk miles.
Yes.
You mentioned that drives me crazy. I don't. If you're on your bike,
I
fantastic.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Right? It's more like I'm more the Eddie Merckx mindset of, go ride your bike.
Yep.
Go ride your bike. That's what it comes down to.
You commute every day, though. You commute in
7.68 miles.
Yeah.
I know that.
Every day in, every day out. Sometimes when the weather's nicer,
consistency is amazing.
You'll go longer on your way
Yeah.
out if you've got extra time. But I mean, that's like guaranteed 15 miles every single day if you're just going to work and back.
And that's what people say, oh, it's a commute. You don't really get anything out of that. But, and you're right. I'm not doing, could I be better if I did structured training and this or that? Yes. But I have fun. I just want to have fun on it, right?
Structured training is terrible.
So, well, some people are
awful.
great. That's those Olympians, man. They grind it out, and they do that. And you have
but have
to
you
do
seen
that.
have you seen Bradley Wiggins enjoy a bike ride since his career's done? No. You're still riding your bike to work. I bet Bradley Wiggins is riding his bike to work.
I look more forward to our team rides.
Oh, yeah.
And things and rides with friends than necessarily races. Although races are a blast.
Yeah.
Only because of the team. If I was racing by myself, I wouldn't do
different.
it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Some of the most fun I've ever had on a bike is in a bike race with you.
Right?
Yeah. It's
When we
just-
tried
it's
to
like-
break away
Oh, yeah.
at Silverton.
Hey, we look at each other. Hey, you want to go? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Guess who was there?
Sean Martin.
Webster.
I remember the last time I raced against him. It was at the short track, and that was actually I think that was the last time I saw him too. But he passed me. Gosh, it was probably with like a lap and a half to go, and I was starting to kind of fall apart. And then all of a sudden, I got the second win, and I started hopping back up, and I got back on his wheel, and I just. Actually, no. There was maybe like 2 or 3 laps to go, and I kept watching his patterns. And he had a routine, and he was becoming a little bit predictable. And there was this hard banking left-hand turn, then there was this big like kicker that you went over, this almost like a tabletop jump out there, and then it rolled. Then you go to the finish line, and he would take the same line at the same pace every single time. I gave him a little bit of speed or a little bit of a cushion, and then carried a bunch of speed into that last little banking turn. And came flying around him, and he's like, "Mother effer!" It was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
He thought he had it in the bag because you could see the finish line. It was literally 10 seconds away, and I just came by him like a bat out of hell.
Ghosted.
Yeah, that was funny.
The problem is your name's too long for like a good Newman or like
Yeah,
Webster.
exactly.
It's Von During. That doesn't flow as well.
It never worked. So, yeah, he's a good competitor, though. So anyway, that was fun. Well, that's all good stuff. Did we answer all of Sean's questions?
Oh, what's your favorite chocolate chip
What's
cookie?
the best chocolate chip cookie you've ever had?
His.
Sean's are pretty good.
Oh my
Sean
gosh.
makes a
Really?
good cookie.
Just unbelievable. One of the docs I work with does come close, but Sean Martin's chocolate chip cookies
Pretty
are just
spectacular.
amazing.
Yeah, that was fun. We had a team training camp, and we were out in Rainbow, California. Top of a mountain in our team house, and Sean and Chris had a chocolate chip cookie
It
throwdown.
wasn't a throw. It was no contest.
That was a throwdown.
Well, his like, mine can't be ready till tomorrow because I have to put it in the freezer and do this. And that.
Oh yeah, it's over then at that
What are
point.
you doing, man? You just sticking it in the oven? No, you can't do that.
Rookie.
That was fun. Well, cool. Evan, you had a kind of a decent weekend. I don't know how much you're going to share with us today, but
I had like a
backpedal.
slightly more exciting weekend than I usually do.
Yeah.
Like usually it's like, all right, Saturday, I rode the TT bike for a certain amount of time in Sweet Spot. Then I jumped off. I went to the track for my Saturday run, which is about as spicy as I got this weekend, to be honest. And did 2x5K, which is my final workout prep for the race. I know Matt's not here for me to talk about Lionel Sanders with, but Lionel Sanders a couple years ago, this is a triathlete, Chris, you can just zone out for a second. But so, he did a 2x5K workout in 2019. And I wanted to beat his times that he did, but I want to do it off the bike. So I did beat his times by a lot, which made me very happy, which nobody here cares about. More importantly, after that, I had to go home and act like everything was going to be completely normal that evening and suggested to Cassie that we walk down to the waterfront for no apparent reason. And she thought that was strange because usually on Saturdays, I like to not move as much as possible in the evening.
After 2 hard efforts.
I try to keep my steps under 100 unless there's chores to be done. And then if there are chores to be done, I try to stay in one spot to do them as much as possible without moving around frequently.
But you're like, hey, let's walk down to the waterfront.
Let's walk down to the waterfront, which we've tried to make that our routine when it's nice. So we're like, okay, we're going to walk down the waterfront. And unbeknownst to her, I was going to propose when we got down to the waterfront. So our roommate, Melissa, took her old truck, which is Cassie's old truck, is very sentimental to her, and she decorated it and brought it down to the waterfront. Walking down the waterfront, knew I did not want to do this in a public area because me and Cassie are not very public people. This is not something we would want to do in front of a ton of people. So I keep on walking and walking and walking, and now she's definitely getting suspicious. She told me she did not think that it was going to happen by any means because we had been playing this for a couple months now. And I took her out to the pier at the very end of the waterfront, like the Vancouver waterfront, all the way. The last thing before the construction, basically, and proposed to her down there. Thank God she said yes. I got super lucky there. And yeah, that was basically my Saturday.
Evan!
Yes.
Congratulations.
It was an awesome weekend. It was a lot of fun.
It
was a lot of fun. Yep.
How long have you guys been going out?
We actually, it's funny because we debate on when we actually started dating. I thought we started dating way earlier than apparently we actually did. But we agreed that it was like June of almost 3 years. So it's almost 3 years ago now is when we started dating. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We actually met in our friend Robbie Holterman had me do a gait analysis at his gym, and Cassie was there. And Robbie had wanted me to meet Cassie. So he told me, he's like, hey, here's her number. Once you're done with the gait analysis, just message her saying you want to talk about her running gait or something like that. So that was my nerdy pickup line, was like, hey, want to meet up sometime and talk about your running gait? She genuinely thought that was actually why I wanted to meet with her. So our first date was, in her mind, definitely not our actual first date.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah.
And speaking of Lionel Sanders, you're going to be racing against him.
Yes, you are.
I am going to be racing against him and many other people that are much faster than me. So it's going to be fun.
Former world champion.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is another awesome thing that Cassie does for me. Cassie's been like studying the start list for me too, and being like, she's like, I think you fall roughly in this range. So there's like 50 guys at this race.
This is Galveston.
It's a
70.3
half Ironman, which is the only distance I race pro right now. That's my sweet spot. So, yeah, I'm hopefully I think I'm in a lot better shape than I was in 2019 at my last pro race. I think I should be.
Typically before a race, you get a little chirpy, a little bit funny, a little like jovial with people.
Yeah.
You going to say anything to Lionel?
Absolutely. And Sam Long. Absolutely. Oh, Josh Amberger, who's a really funny guy. He's Australian and always first out of the water in Ironman for years. I forget. It was Chad. Oh, no, what race was it? It may have been Boulder. We're like sitting in line, like talking with another guy named Ben Deal the entire time, just like making fun of people's bikes. Like, I think Amberger was talking about how everybody has the same helmet, and he did not. So he was like, I'm pretty sure I got an aero advantage now over everybody because he rides like an Oakley helmet or something. But like, it's funny to see on race day, you have these guys that are like, I mean, they are just locked in. Like, you couldn't say anything to these guys.
Super serious.
Just absolutely 100% serious. And I am so not that guy because I'm not going there with the there's 50 guys in this race. 25 of them, I bet this is their primary means of making money.
Right.
This is not my primary means of making money, but I love this sport more than anything. So I'm going to go there and have a blast on race day because I trained 12 months for one day. These guys race like 9-10 times in a year. Right. I race maybe 3 pro races in a year. I'm like, this is big for me. I'm excited. So
that's crazy.
I'm gonna have fun.
You're racing with a world champion.
Yeah. I mean, Ben Canute's going to be there. Was a U.S. Olympian in the Olympic distance. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. I know my game plan. My game plan is I cannot mess around in the swim with the fast guys. It's just not going to happen.
Just take the second route.
Yeah.
Just jump on the second group.
Yeah.
And stay there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, I know right now, after very boring weekends for a while, I know exactly what wattage I'm going to put on the bike. I don't have a power meter, but I know exactly what I'm going to put out on the bike. And I'm going to jump out and I know exactly the run splits I want to try and hit. So
would having a power meter play to your advantage?
Actually, no. I want it to be race dynamics. So I know what I can do, and I know exactly what that feels like for me now. Yeah, exactly. So I know that if I come out with a group, I'm going to get to the front of the group. If guys go past me, I'll try and stay with. And if that's outside of that effort, then I'm going to let them go. So
gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and Josh did a pretty big weekend series of riding on time trial bikes.
Yeah.
Well, at least that was the plan, correct? How did that go for you?
So yesterday, God, it was, I'm sure, did everybody ride out here? Yes. There were some crazy winds yesterday. It was like 45-mile-an-hour gusts at times around Vancouver Lake.
I raced again.
Yeah. I forgot you were not there. But that was great practice for me because it showed me that the position I'm in the TT bike right now is a pretty good, strong position. Like, I think I can hold it if things get dicey out there. Yeah. And in the triathlon field too, it's just you'll run into some guys I don't think handle their bikes super well. And even though I'm definitely in the road cycling world completely average at bike handling, if not slightly below average, in the triathlon world I think I handle a bike pretty well.
Yeah.
So you get guys in that field that handle bikes excellent. I mean, there's Joe Skipper will be there, and I think Joe Skipper was like a Conti pro in the UK, and yeah, I mean, you got guys like Sam Long who will just, tear up the field on the bike. But there's bike handling wise, you get some guys in the field that are great and other guys that are not. So but if there's crosswinds, I think that'll pay. Okay. That'll play a factor.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, again, congratulations to you and Cassie.
Thank you. Yep.
We love that. Love Cassie.
Yep. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. My backpedal real quick. I did 7 hours of yard work over the weekend and only rode for 4. So that's a terrible ratio, right? But I did win the yard competition, so we're looking good on that front.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
King of the cul-de-sac.
Okay. The Green Thumb Award.
Chris, how's your driveway looking?
It's fine.
Gravelly?
It's good.
It certainly has not been power washed.
Because
you park a car on it, covering it the whole time. I don't understand.
Don't come over because you'll get driveway envy, buddy.
And also, don't bring your dirty car onto his driveway, please. You'd have to clean it right after.
Stay in the cul-de-sac.
That's why I'm always parking on the street.
You can park in the street.
Oh, that's too funny. But we did do the team flogging ride. That was fun.
We did?
It was a little weathery. We pushed it back a day thinking that we would have better weather, which we did have better weather, but we still did get a little bit wet. But that
rained on a little bit.
That was a tough workout. We were on it for the whole time. So.
We were on it the whole time.
So, and then did a fantastic ride with the team. We did the bull run ride. I've done parts of that. I did it in a different direction. We went counterclockwise this time. The first,
You've done it the other way.
Yeah, we went it the other way last time. I did it with Ian and Mike Guyvan, who I'm now going to call Veggie Mountains. The guy's down to 155 pounds. But
He's so lean. He's terrifyingly lean.
He's so strong.
Somebody
right
get
now.
him a race right now. That guy.
A race that he can finish.
Yes.
Okay.
And also get him a race he's not tempted to just sit on the front the entire time.
That's
Yeah, I felt pretty good on that ride. And then, that was my week. Nothing spectacular to report. No KOMs, no racing, nothing spectacular. So moving on.
It's good times.
Good times.
All right. Let's talk about Patreon real quick. I just want to announce a new Patreon.
Oh, fantastic.
We have a new Patreon. Sarah Gates is our latest and greatest Patreon. Thank you so much for being a supporter of the show.
Thank you, Sarah.
We are going to do another drawing. There's some new goodies in that pile now.
Is Sarah's name in here?
That is a good question.
If I pull out a Champ Bailey name, it's going to Sarah Gates.
Yes.
I don't think we put Sarah in there. So, Champ Bailey will be Sarah Gates.
Sarah, you got 2 names in the next drawing.
Yeah.
How about that in there?
Chris, you got to pull that out so
Hannah.
you can read my chicken scratch handwriting over there. He unfolds it and you take a look.
Rob Buck.
Rob Buck.
Again.
Seriously?
Again.
Rob's a winner. The guy's a winner.
Lance just shook that thing up for a good minute.
Solid.
Everything's mixed up in there. There's
with
close
Rob
to 30
Buck?
names in there or something like that. Rob Buck won again.
Interesting story about
Rob.
Karcher, which we were just talking about before this. Jake Scher, they're a Jumbo Visma sponsor.
Yeah. And
Crazy
I
connection.
used one of their pressure washers over the weekend, and we got some hats from them. So
They're based out of Camas.
well, their
That's
North
wild.
American headquarters is in Camas.
Yeah.
So listener of the show, Lynn Fisher, kindly offered those up, and I thought that was kind of cool. So that's
Isn't that interesting that a power washing company would be like, what should we sponsor? Cycling. I think that's awesome.
Bike racing.
I think it's great.
That means somebody up high rides a bike.
Yes,
That's what
it
it
does.
means.
It does. We need more CEOs that ride bicycles is what we
you go.
need.
There you go. All right, moving on.
Champ here. I'm all about having fun. Get a couple of cocktails in me, start a fire in
I
someone's
just realize this is
kitchen.
ironic
Maybe go to
because Lance
SeaWorld,
never gets a
take my
couple
pants
cocktails
off.
in him.
Yeah, that's half the fun right there. What's up, Champ?
Champ Bailey here. I got lots of news, lots of things to cover. There was
lot of
bike
racing.
racing. There was a lot of racing this week. Let's talk about Ghent Wevelgem first.
Did you get that right?
No. I mean, did I say the right thing? So Ghent Wevelgem, who was it won by? I just butchered it. Ghent Wevelgem.
Yeah, Vegum.
Gent
Gent Vegum.
Wevelgem. I can't say it.
Just lost all of our European listeners.
Both of them. So,
Who won?
Wout van Aert.
Yes.
Yes, he did. He wasn't in the break. He just bided his time properly and outsprinted
He can
the
sprint
group.
good.
So he won. Good for him. So
Yep.
my favorite story out of Ghent Wevelgem was Sam Bennett. Did you hear the Sam Bennett story?
I did not read the entire article, but I saw that Sam Bennett had something happen to him.
Okay, so Sam Bennett, he won the green jersey in the Tour de France last year.
Yes.
So super strong sprinter.
Probably the best sprinter in the world, yeah.
He turned himself inside out trying to stay with the front group. Didn't quite do it. Blew up. puked on himself.
He pulled the lance.
He pulled a lance.
He puked on himself.
He puked on himself.
Hey, good for you, Sam. Wow.
There's actually video of it, of him just getting dropped off the group, and he's riding his bike, and he pukes. Fantastic
Oh my
story.
gosh.
I love puke stories on the bike.
Dude, these guys go so hard like each week. I mean, just like there's I was talking with somebody about this where I was like, training structure for these pros during in season has got to be just so weird. It's like, all right, Saturday and Sunday, what are we doing? I don't know, hold 400 watts for like an hour.
Right. I don't know.
And it's like back-to-back days. What are we doing Monday? Trying to like get out of the bed.
Right. Okay, next big race, the Tour of de Catalunya.
Yes.
Did I say it right? Who cares?
Catalonia.
Tour of Catalunya.
Volta de Catalunya.
Fun stuff. Sagan won the first stage in a sprint.
Yeah.
Sagan actually pulled something
Oh,
off.
calm down. It's a very
Still won a sprint stage in a World Tour ride.
Was Sam Bennett there?
No.
Nah, then I don't care.
He was puking
Was
on
Caleb
himself.
Ewan there? Actually, I don't know if Caleb Ewan was there.
I don't know if he was either. That was one big story. Another story, one of the mountaintop finishes, Ineos Grandos.
Grenadiers.
Yeah, I butchered it. Ineos.
Yeah.
Team Sky.
Team Great Britain.
They swept the podium in one stage.
Yeah.
So Adam Yates, Richie Porte,
Yep.
and G. Thomas.
Yep.
So
I am so happy to see Richie Porte and G. Thomas still looking relevant.
Yeah.
Like still looking like they could be part of that train. I love those
That'd be
guys.
pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
And it was won by the whole tour ended up being won by Adam Yates.
Yep.
So
he won, huh?
he won it. So that
Now- Like
final
his new
stage
team
this
colors,
morning.
yeah.
Now, what happened with Carapaz? Carapaz had a strange Volta.
I have no idea.
He was in the train, then he was out of the train, and I think he had either a bike mechanical issue. I think he blew up one stage. He was kind of bouncing a little bit. So I think for the problem with being on Ineos right now is, I mean, they're so strong that you are basically competing to be the guy that gets to win the Giro, the Vuelta, or the Tour at this point.
Right.
With how strong they look. So if you're on that team, I mean, you're kind of competing right now to be like, it's not a guarantee, in my opinion, that Bernal gets to lead the team at any point with how strong Yates is. I genuinely think Richie Porte is going to come into some great fitness again this year.
He's doing well.
I mean, Carapaz
says no.
Carapaz at one point last year may have been the strongest guy outside of Roglic and Pogačar in the world.
Dude, I love Port. I'd love to see
Yeah.
him do it, but I live in this world, the real world.
He lives in
And
reality.
Egan Bernal is still strong.
It was 1 week, maybe 3 weeks. I just no.
Yeah.
And what you're already throwing Jumbo out the? Come on, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know.
Ineos
I know.
and Jumbo.
It will
that's
be.
Going to be.
I'm just saying, if you're in the Ineos bubble, if you're in the Ineos world, you're competing for like 3 spots right now. Because
as a rider there.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only other big news in racing, Nasser Bahouni also
Is an idiot.
threw another shoulder and headbutt and got relegated. Yes.
You know, he was a boxer, apparently.
He's got it.
I don't know
That
how he
dude's
still
in
has a
trouble.
contract.
He's
How does
an
he
idiot.
still have a world contract? He keeps doing this.
Yeah.
Did you check
Also-
this morning to see if he still does?
Nasser Bahouni apologizes for, quote, unintentional collision.
What does he race for?
I don't know.
Is that Cofidis?
I know he did for a while. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
still.
No, I think he's off
Arkea.
Cofidis now. Oh, yeah. He's on Quintana's team
Arkea.
now.
Yeah.
What a strange team. I love Nairo Quintana on this show, as you have seen from my numerous times picking him and him not doing anything.
Yep.
But Arkea does seem to be the team of like, all right, who hasn't panned out like they should? Go ahead and come over here.
Champ Bailey out.
You can smell it.
Nice.
All right.
I took a shower.
Yeah. He's got it right after this, not before.
You guys ready for the topic today?
No.
No? I don't know.
We're talking about vacation spots? What are we talking about?
Top riding destinations for 2021. I was kidding. How about this? Cycling conundrums. Questions that we still have. Problems that we still have in the world of cycling. I've got these questions, and I am going to bring this to you guys in a little bit of a hot seat format.
Yeah, because
You guys have no idea
haven't
what questions
either.
I'm asking.
None of us have,
Just a
except
bunch
for
of-
Evan.
Bunch of
And I
stuff,
usually don't. No, I haven't heard any of these.
We haven't either.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
bunch of stuff on
I
this
don't
list.
check my phone enough.
And
I need to get a new phone, by the way. not going to sidetrack.
So, going to throw some things at you guys, and then we'll just talk about them. We don't have a whole ton of time to go through this, but
I have more race stories to tell. Can I tell those?
I have 40-minute story.
All right, so the first one. I get asked this all the time. My rear derailleur just doesn't work. It won't go up to the big ring, or it won't go to the biggest cog, whatever. Do you guys know how to adjust limit screws on your rear derailleur?
So when I was working at a bike shop in Lebanon, Ohio, it was originally called Wheelie Fun, and then it was called Go Fast after that. And Wheelie Fun, owned by Bob Duncan. Andrew Starkowitz is coach, one of my favorite places in the entire world. But it is not a bike shop anymore. But I used to try my very best to not be the guy that had to touch the limit screws. That was my one goal in the shop. Did I learn how to do them? Maybe, kinda. I would kinda be able to figure out if it was desperate. But if it was any major issue, there was another really good mechanic there, and I would go to pretend to do something else, and I'd come with an excuse, be like, Cody, come over here. Last thing, just do the limit screws real quick. I just gotta go grab this thing.
They're so simple, but for a lot of years for me too, it was like, I'm not going to touch those. You're going to screw that whole derailleur up, and it's not going to ever work again.
It's not complicated.
It's not. But did I not teach you?
Yes.
Okay, and I probably could teach you pretty quick. I'm guessing
Probably.
Dr. Hannell here already knows how to do it.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. All it is just it creates a stop as to how far up the derailleur or down the derailleur or the cassette the derailleur can go. So
Correct.
that's what it is. And I'm just, why is that such a conundrum for some folks?
Because it's complicated and
It's
it
terrifying.
looks scary, and if you screw it up, then your chain gets sucked.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's my first question. It's like, why? And this is low hanging fruit. We'll get better ones, but I just wanted to put that out there because I get asked that question all the time.
I used to try to adjust them without disconnecting the cable. I kept on forgetting you had to disconnect the cable first.
Yeah, you don't always have to do it.
Oh, you don't? Well,
No.
that's what I was told. Probably because he didn't trust me to actually do it. but-
All you have to do is Google search on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
how
at the end
to
of the day,
adjust
yeah.
the limit screws on a rear derailleur. Somebody's going to have a 3-minute video. It's going to show you how to do it.
Now we have electronic shifting, so it's...
They are important, though. This past weekend on the team ride,
Oh yeah,
a teammate had he lost a screw, and then he had to replace it with an older one that was kind of
Alan
rusty.
Plank.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the reason
really?
why this is on there. Well, he ended up putting his whole derailleur into his rear wheel. I think he broke a couple spokes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Hatfield had to
Did he
give him a
tear the
ride back.
hanger off?
I think that's ended up what
Yeah.
happening. Yeah,
Oh,
he
God.
started to go up the very first climb, and Hatfield drops his chain, and like all of a sudden, like you go by him, and then there's Alan, and he's got a rear derailleur in his wheel, and we're just like, what's going on here? It's like,
See, it's so funny.
Wheels are
Just in
falling
my
off.
last couple weekends, riding on a time trial bike in 2 separate gears. Haven't had the problem yet. So I haven't
using 2 gears
using,
on flat.
I'm using a lot of gears,
Vancouver
guys. I'm
Lake.
using 2 separate gears on a one by.
That reminds me, Felipe Nystrom, he
Yeah.
came up to the cyclocross race and in the prelims ripped his hanger right off his bike.
ouch.
And Scott Schultz actually loaned him his like extra bike so he could do the finals. And of
That
course
is
he
super-
shouldn't-
see, that's
should for-
beautiful.
yeah.
For
That's
cyclocross,
beautiful.
for
Scott Schultz
cyclocross
is-
races, you should be bringing an extra hanger, right? I mean that's got to happen a decent amount. On
You should always
cyclocross
have
races,
an extra
right?
hanger for your bike, period.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents, because that's just one of those things. If it goes bad, it's like you're not going to be able to go just take it off any other bike. It's specific
Yeah.
to the frame. So
Yeah.
now Scott's a good 10 inches taller than Felipe, isn't
That
he?
is correct. Felipe rides a 50. He is not a tall person. Scott Schultz rides a 54, so
Well,
he
that's
just
not a huge difference,
He
but
rode
yeah.
on his tippy toes.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can make that.
So he
you
made
can
it-
make that work.
He made it happen.
But that's
The
the
handling
cycling
would be
community.
pretty tough.
You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Whether
awesome.
Whether sport is like your competitor, it's like, no.
In soccer,
Exactly.
I wouldn't even kick you the ball for a throw-in.
Right?
I would like kick the ball away, so you
don't
got to
get it.
chase it in a throw-in.
Yeah, Scott was just like, here, Felipe, use this. This will
Yeah.
work.
Beautiful.
All right, next one. You can ask 10 different people this question, and you're going to get 10 different answers. What's up with tire pressure? Seriously, I know it is. It's relative to a person's weight, but you could ask 10 different people who
You're gonna
all
get 10
weigh the
different answers.
exact same amount that are riding on the exact same width tire. Going to get a different answer every
Yeah.
time. What's up with that? Why is it so difficult for us all to land on something that kind of works? I can understand being within like a pound or two, but if you talk to Lance and then you go talk to somebody else, Lance is going to be riding at like 55 psi on his road bike for some
Yeah,
reason.
Lance will be riding even less than I am, and I even agree with Lance that less is better right now.
To a certain degree.
But we all
Gravel
used to
and
ride.
cyclocross like changed my world.
We all used to ride like 110.
Yes.
I mean, that was
120.
I remember.
Oh, yeah.
My,
On the
I started
23s.
my first year of bike racing. Yeah, I was riding 110, 115, weighing like $165. I don't know. Like,
Okay, but how much nicer of a ride is it when you're riding at lower tire pressure?
oh, it's great. No, I love it.
So for me
Yeah.
to find that tire pressure that still is fast
Yep.
and is so much smoother just makes my undercarriage happy.
There you go. Well, it also technically is going to make you. I think.
And if
I
you're
think you're a
comfortable,
little.
you're going to ride farther, faster.
I think you're a little on the low side, but I mean, from what Matt's research he's looked at, it's going to make you faster.
Here's what
so.
people are talking about. I've been riding on 26 tubeless tires, and I ride at like 50 psi, 50 or 55 psi. Whereas,
I think that's low.
well, I
What
love
does
it.
the manufacturer suggest there, Mr.
Yeah.
The
Hepler, on those
manufacturer
new tires that we just put on your bike?
They suggest 80.
See, that's what I'm riding. Actually, I'm going to go 80, 85.
I just put brand new Pirelli 28s
Okay.
road tires on my road bike.
So you do at least be 60 with the 28s,
And,
right?
Still tubeless?
Still tubeless.
Yeah.
And they recommend 80 for my weight. I weigh 165 pounds.
Okay.
And I'm going to ride it at 60
Okay.
or 55 because it's just as fast. It's just as fast, suckers.
Yeah, but
It's just as fast.
but you're
on a
a
rougher
sample
road.
size of one.
On a rougher road, it might even be faster.
It might even be fast.
On a perfect road, maybe.
That's just
Yeah.
it. You get on a nice, smooth tarmac, and you try to rail a corner,
I'm just
and
going
that
to sit on
deforms
somebody's
enough for your
wheel.
rim to catch the road. How do I know this?
'Cause you've-
Yeah, because 55 is.
All right.
See, on a mountain bike or gravel bike, you ride that bike until the tire starts to fold over, and then you just add 1 psi. That's what psi you race at.
After you pick up your broken body and bike.
No,
then
this
you
is in
add
the parking lot before the race. You're like testing tire pressure.
So that way
Let
you
out a
break
little
your
bit more.
hip before the race, so that you don't have to worry about making it back to the car. So.
I remember my first cross race was one of those conundrums where I didn't know which tire pressure to put in there, and I started listening to what everybody else was saying, and I had just recently switched everything over to tubeless. I wasn't riding on a tubular, is that still what you're riding on to this day, or are you tubeless?
I ride tubeless on
Does
my
anybody still ride
cyclocross
tubular?
bike. Yes, they do.
Who?
A lot of the pros because they have unlimited wheel sets.
Because they can do whatever they want. Yeah.
Well, I just remember because I ride pretty aggressive, and I'm not exactly light. I was about 182 or 3 pounds around that time when I was doing that race, and I burped out there on the race, and I ended up finishing the race with about 15 psi in there. And I remember I won, so it wasn't a big deal, but I also raced in the wrong category. I was racing in Cat 5 and got immediately kicked out, which was fine. But I remember after the race was over, I was just kind of watching other people, and we were standing. I was over there by the pit, if I'm not mistaken, but I was watching all the guys come out of the canyon at David Douglas. And I remember seeing Scott Troutman, and this is before I'd actually like really gotten to know Scott. He came running up, and his bike was done. I think his hanger, I think, went out on him as well.
Yeah.
And I told him, like, go jump on my bike. And like he did like a whole lap, and like the seat was really too high. And I think we ended up dropping it down from a little bit. But I forgot to mention to him that there was only 15 psi in the back tire. But he still finished the race on a bike. Is better than not finishing at all, right?
That's
But,
right.
I don't know.
So in the cross race, in the prelims,
Yeah.
it's super muddy race, like talking like 4-inch deep mud, some nasty stuff. I had 32 PDX tires on, and I rode at 24 psi in the rear and 23 in the front.
Uh-huh.
And in the finals, I rode at 20 and 19. I let out 4 psi.
Wow.
Because
Cush core in there too, yeah?
I do have Cush core in there.
Did that make a difference with the mud and being able to go down a little bit lower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So more traction. There was a little mud climbing section with like 2 mini barriers, and I was riding it, and nobody else was riding it. Everybody else was jumping off and running up and hopping over the barriers, and then running to the top of the hill to remount. And
How much time did that save you?
I don't know. It saved me a few seconds.
That all makes sense on the cross bike, but on the road, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that whole 50 to 55 psi. But if that's what makes you happy, and it
Well,
takes care of your
you guys
aging
can
back
suck it.
there.
This is it. It's just his back is too old to take that pounding from a 75 psi. Would you even be capable of racing a triathlon at 110 anymore? Because
I don't think so.
You remember transition zones, and you're like, "Oh, you want me to pump it up to 175, please." I want the tube to be about a centimeter away from imploding itself.
So I think all of us here at the table, we're pretty much different weight sizes, but are we wildly different on the PSIs that we're using?
I mean, way different because I'm 152 and I pump up to 80 and 85. Lance is 50 to 55.
How about you, Chris?
I don't have time for that ridiculousness. Yeah, just you squeeze the tire.
Test, yeah, thank you.
Just a little flick, yeah,
that needs a little air.
There's air in there.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh yeah, you do the ding test.
Now, before a race, I will, and I'll run about. I used to run 120 like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And it felt so fast because you're bouncing all over the place. And then now I run around 80.
On tubeless.
On tubeless.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll never go back. I'm so glad you pushed me to do that.
Same.
It's beautiful. All right, the next one. Why is everything so matchy-matchy? Why are we always so concerned about our kit matching our bike, matching our shoes, matching our bar tape, matching our saddle?
Cycling, though, really, when you think about it. Like, I know that we make fun of ourselves in cycling for doing that. Cycling, in my opinion, is actually the normal one there. Because you look at basketball players, soccer players, it's still, you want to look good. The sport that is the outliers, triathletes look like idiots all the time.
Rocking around in compression
All
socks.
the time. Nothing matches. It looks bad. Who wears compression socks just walking around? Like my mom used to just walk around in compression socks all the time as a kid. So I grew up thinking like that's normal. And I like them because I hated things touching my calves. So I didn't like having compression socks on. But yeah, like cycling is, to me, the cool sport there. That like seems like a weird thing. It's like, oh, why do the socks need to be a certain?
Being matchy makes you cool, huh?
Not the cool
I think like a clean, solid-looking cyclist, and this is coming from somebody who has never looked like that in their entire life, but that looks cool to me. Like it does. It looks really it looks pro. We talk about that. You look pro. Now, this last weekend on a TT bike was wearing our dialed over jacket thing, my tri-kit underneath that, a buff. 2 gloves and ski socks that went up to my knee because my shins were cold. No shoe covers.
You look like Fred.
That were neon green. Yeah.
See, I'm
still
a Fred.
On a disc wheel. On my TT bike.
Oh my
Did you have the pointy helmet on too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's fantastic.
It looked terrible. Yeah, that's why I think that.
Who wants cold chins?
This is why I think the cyclists look cool. Is because I wanted to look like that my entire life. I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't achieved it.
What's your take on this handle?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks good. Yeah. Who we need to have on here is John Kraft.
Yep.
Who is a beautiful photographer.
Fantastic photographer.
Yeah,
Yep.
amazing. He has an eye for beauty.
Yep.
But he's matchy.
Oh yeah, all his kits match.
And I think it's partly the tradition of it, right?
Yeah. I made a video for our team training camp. I think it was the first year that we were at that same Rainbow House. And Lance was bombing down the hill, and I had him in one of the shots, and he was wearing the green socks. I think that it was you that had him.
I had all my orange gear on, but I was wearing green socks.
And that was for a competition we were having. And oh my gosh, did he let you have it on YouTube? What are you doing? Why are you wearing those socks? That's terrible.
So the next ride I did, where I knew John Kraft was there, I showed up with like the loudest, most terrible socks I had.
That's awesome.
Just a needle.
That's
John
awesome.
Kraft.
But I think that's like a huge irony in cycling too, if you think about it, with how like gritty the sport's like history is. That like Belgians were, just hardened cyclists, and they're doing Paris-Roubaix, and they're like, but make sure your socks are about this high. Why? You're like, we're about to go get destroyed by cobbles, and every inch of us is going to be covered in dirt, but you want to make sure that my cycling cap matches my socks.
So part of it, I get it. If you look good, if you look fast, maybe you'll feel fast, and maybe that will make a difference. The only downside to it, I think, is and something that you do a wonderful job here at DCT, and one of the reasons I joined when I was looking to join the team.
Because we forced you to.
Is that? Don't believe me. I got anybody who ends up on the other end with me. I got the better end of the deal. It's the elitist. It's hard to get around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember the first time I got a KOM was because I was angry. I got cut off by these guys and all these matching kit things, and it was when you still have follow me thing or something on there. And it pissed me off because they didn't wave, it was nothing, right?
Yeah.
They just
it was
zoomed
very
past
elitist.
you.
Like those bastards. So,
Yeah.
and I found out where they went, and they got this KOM thing. I'm gonna freaking take that from them. That was the very first one I ever got. Was out of anger.
That's an awesome first KOM story.
Just a spite
Out of
KOM.
pure spite.
Pure spite KOM.
It's that elitist thing that we work so hard to get out of.
Yep.
Right? And say, hey, you can belong here. It doesn't. I don't care what you're wearing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to race day,
You just put your own kit on.
you put your orange kit on.
Yeah. I'm
So-
here to be in full support of anybody who does not match on a bicycle, and also people who race in triathlon shoes and have never ridden SPDs.
Because you've said it a lot. The best cyclists aren't on a bike yet.
Right.
Nope,
They
exactly.
haven't
Oh,
even
yeah,
found it
absolutely.
yet.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think of just people I've met. I always tell this story. There was a guy I remember. He raced in no lie. It was like khaki, like pants, basically. And he was in a Cat 3 race, and I think we were in like we were in Indiana. We were in Indiana. This was a Cat 3 race, and this guy was in the final selection, and like was on the podium that day. I think he was third in the final uphill sprint. And he was on, I mean, a 9-speed, like, which is why me and him were talking the whole time, because we were both on 9-speed. Like, hey. Yeah, we're like, oh, why do you need 2 extra gears? Yeah, 9 works fine. But, like, I mean, this guy was, like, in a borrowed kit, clearly, and khaki pants. And I think he had, like, if I remember right, he had, like, egg beater, like, pedals, too. He had, like, mountain bike shoes on. This guy was, I mean, flying up the hills. This an amazing cyclist. I still remember that guy to this day because whenever anybody's like, look good, feel good, I was like, yeah, unless you look like him and then you're still fast, so it doesn't matter.
I had a conundrum this weekend because I ran out of kit.
Yeah.
Because I raced the cyclocross race on Saturday. I warmed up, made something filthy.
Yeah.
Then I raced the prelims and destroyed my cyclocross race kit. So I had to wear something else. And then on Sunday, I raced a mountain bike race. And I'm like,
Did you throw a t-shirt on?
I don't have any clean kit left.
Did you race in a t-shirt?
No, I had to. I like pulled out my road bibs and road jersey, and I raced in that because everything else was dirty.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Can't have that.
That's
There's
awesome.
Bob Poole. You ever seen that interview with him?
I love Bob Poole.
It was a couple years ago. But he was riding to work in his work boots to construction.
Oh, yeah.
And these cyclists come by, and he's blowing them away. And they're like, you need to get into cycling. But he was in his work boots.
In his work
Yeah.
boots.
Riding his bike.
I love Bob Poole.
Bob
too.
Roll.
Huh?
Is that Bob Roll?
Bob Roll.
Bob Roll.
Bob Roll. Yeah.
Okay.
Bob Roll.
Bob
Gotcha.
Poole is a local Portland guy.
No.
Bob Roll.
Yeah.
Is what I meant. Did I say Poole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob Poole. That's shout out to Bob Poole.
It's my
Shout
fault
out,
because you're
Bob.
hanging around me. That's what happens when you hang around me. Your
But
mind
that's-
and your mouth don't cooperate.
But
so.
I do kind of like that like gritty background stories. There's a lot of those in cycling.
good, yeah.
There really are when you look back, and I hope cycling always keeps. Like I always hope there's some player in these in these stories where it's like, oh yeah, this guy had a mountain bike for years, and somebody just randomly picked him up. He was like, "Where are you going?" I think those stories are awesome.
All right, next one. You guys ready for this one?
Yep.
Going commando. We all go commando as cyclists in our kits.
Yes.
How long did it take you to figure that out? And why don't we let everybody know that so that we can save somebody the stress and anxiety and the pain of not rolling commando?
Do not wear underwear underneath your
Oh,
bib
yeah, never
shorts.
do.
If you do it once,
I only
you will never
have
do it again.
on like some of the coldest rides I've ever been on. Is the only
No.
time I've ever done that.
Even-
Not at all.
That's
you
the
can wear them on
only
the
time I've
outside,
ever
but
done
not underneath.
Wear the outside.
Tiny white is on the outside. You got to keep yourself warm, dude.
It was compression shorts, but still, yeah.
It will rub you raw.
Yeah.
You will not have a happy undercarriage.
No.
I remember. I didn't know that. I can remember getting my first pair of it was a cycling short. It wasn't even a bib, and I just I don't know. I just got this pad in there. You just wear that. And just all right, put my underwear on, put that on, and go ride. Yeah, not happy times.
Not happy.
But nobody ever talks about that.
No.
Why is
Also, like chamois butter needs to be more widely accepted.
Oh,
as something you
my
tell people
God,
immediately.
yes.
Like I knew right away with chamois butter, but I had a couple friends of mine who've been riding for a few years, And like before race, as one does in public eye, take it and just go straight down your pants because you just do that in the open air. And one of my buddies looked at me, he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "What are you talking about? What are we doing?" Like
chamois.
I was like,
chamois butter.
I was like, "You've been racing all year with me. Why are you asking me what am I doing right now?" He's like, "What is that?" It's like, "You don't use chamois butter." He's like, "No, never have." I asked him, I was like, "How bad is it?" He was like, "Oh, it's terrible." I just thought that was like I just thought that was I just thought that was what cyclists dealt with.
I'm going to do a race at PIR with only chamois butter.
Wait, what?
No kit.
No
Just
kit?
chamois butter.
Is that going to be
Get kicked
well,
out
I mean,
of-
That's
I'm gonna
accepted
get
in
kicked out of
Portland,
Oprah.
but
there is a naked bike ride in Portland.
There
That is a
is.
thing. Yeah, that is definitely a
Well,
thing.
that used to be the thing out there at PR. It was like the last race of the season, if I'm not mistaken, that they would do it naked. And I remember somebody coming up to me and saying, "Hey,
Shut
you,
up."
No, yeah, they told me
Chamois
you might
butter.
want to have your juniors get off the course because that's kind of a tradition." And I think they kind of stopped doing it in recent years, but that used to be a thing. Like towards the end of the season or the very last race of the year, a bunch of people would go out and they would do the last lap
Race it naked.
naked. So
That's so Portland.
yeah,
That's awesome.
100%.
It's that single speeders.
My brother is the one when he. Again, I had advantage of having somebody who did cycling.
Sure.
He's like, "Don't wear your underwear under that."
You're like, what?
Why?
I'm like, "Why not?" And
gonna
he's like,
stain
just,
this thing.
Just don't. So I wear shorts over my cycling when I first started out,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Because you just, I was younger and you're self-conscious. Now I'm old. I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
Right? But it takes a little while to get used to that, but it's all practicality.
Yeah.
It's not about how it looks or this or that. You figure it out that actually this is the best way to go.
Yeah. Yep, and those things are all ergonomically cut, and the chamois there to protect your regions from certain contact. Have that butter on there, and lack of underwear.
I do
happier
think
times.
it is kind of that other barrier to cycling when you think about it is, I mean, we're literally you're basically throwing on spandex and going into public. I mean, that's that's scary for most people that aren't sociopaths like us, where we're just like, I don't care, it's like. I mean, God forbid you ever race a triathlon and you're like, okay, not only you have to ride the bike on that too, but now you got to run around town with that. And
Unless you live in Portland.
And you might pee yourself
It's a little
too.
weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Scott Troutman just chimed in on our live YouTube and said Chris Horner used Noxema for 30 years for his chamois. He didn't use chamois cream. He used Noxema.
Really?
Jesus, Chris? God.
Chris Horner, former world pro, lives in Bend.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And World Tour winner.
And World Tour
Yes.
winner
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
during a interesting time in cycling.
No. Don't get me started.
I know. No, Chris was a world tour winner. We're just going to end it at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
All
Chris.
right.
No, it's a good. I'm still pulling for Horner, man.
Horner was a good guy.
He's from Bend.
Yeah.
He's a local.
He's a very
local.
good guy. Yeah.
True.
Yep.
All right, next one. You ready?
Next one.
What the hell's up with bottom brackets? Why are there so many kinds of bottom brackets? Why do we need to have? There's got to be at least 100 different.
There's so many bottom
varieties?
brackets.
Now I can understand the fact that different companies are going to have different size spindles. So you've got SRAM's got their Dub. They used to have the GPX.
Yep.
Shimano's got their 24 mil. You've got BB30. That in itself is enough of a crazy conundrum. Now we've got bicycle manufacturers all making different widths and sizes and using different specs. And how many bottom brackets? And I hate it when a bottom bracket comes in because, God, I got to go sit down and I got to sit on the interwebs and I got to go
Figure it out.
Google everything and figure out what year, make, and model this particular bike is and dig in and find what the spec is and find out what one of 537 different bottom bracket specs are there. And then you got to go and try and buy it and it's freaking sold out.
I think it's a bike shop conundrum.
It's the worst.
It's definitely a bike shop conundrum because
No,
it's
but just
always
goes
an
off
issue.
the old adage that like cycling loves proprietary things, right?
Yep.
I mean that's
We
that's
should
how
have
they
asked,
make money.
We should have asked Gary that question when we had him on from
Yeah.
BB Infinite. He could have answered that question pretty emphatically for us. I'm sure. I'm sure it's good for his business because he sells a
many.
bunch
I
of
think
different
that's
bottom brackets.
it's got to be
That's
business
what you
driven.
need. It's
That's
it's
proprietary
about the money.
business. Yeah.
It's about the money.
You're right.
Why can't we standardize it? I mean, we used to have
dude.
Betamax and VHS won out. You know, we used to have what was
Yeah, but if you're Betamax, you don't want that to happen.
no, but you know what? That makes it easier for us. I mean,
Yeah.
just to imagine. I mean, I can understand that maybe if there was like 2 or 3 different, but why do we need to have seriously like hundreds of different specs? It's just ridiculous. So
I don't know. Why can't frames all look reasonably the same? Why did TT bikes decide that they were going to take out the seat tube? It's like, you know,
yeah.
it's and then make it
Don't
a
get us
nightmare
started
for
on time
anybody to
trial
work
bikes.
on. I know, but I'm saying, I mean, it's similar stuff in the bike industry. It's like
There's time trial bikes, and then there's triathlete
this
bikes.
is true. This is true.
That are
This
not
is,
UCI
This is
legal.
why I love UCI legal. I think everything needs to be UCI legal.
All right, moving on. Why so much hate for e-bikes? Why so much hate?
That's an
'Cause they
easy
took-
one for me. That's an easy one. That's because we all, like you nailed it with what is every cyclist, no matter if you're the 300-pound cyclist who's going 4 miles an hour uphill or you're, Chris Froome, you're all suffering going up that hill. I agree that when we've talked about it, hey, it's really cool that like an 85-year-old guy whose knees are blown out can still get out on that bike and enjoy the wind in his face and all. Yeah, cool. But if you're 35 and you're on an e-bike, I kind of hate you. I just do. You kind of suck. Like, I know, and I'm probably going to be like the major naysayer on
maybe
here.
if that guy's showing up to a group ride and maybe he's
We've had
chirping
that
at
happen
you.
before. And it's don't tell me that when I sat on the front of a group in Vancouver Lake and hammered my brains out to try and bring in a guy who was pushing probably 100 watts there and not trying. It's hard to look at that guy and be like, man, I'm just glad he's out here. Like it's just, I think in cycling, the one thing we can all agree on is that it's an uncomfortable sport, and that's the beauty of it. It really is beautifully uncomfortable. When I was out of Vancouver Lake yesterday, there was some like late 60s guy hammering into this ridiculous headwind we had on the way back. And I passed him and cheered him on just like I would have if we were like, on the Dutch corner on Alpe d'Huez. This guy's head was down and he was giving it the beans. If he was on an e-bike and blowing by me, I would be like, screw this guy. This is
What was he giving it?
Giving it the
the
beans.
beans. Hey, you guys never say that?
I've never heard that before. But
Oh,
you know
you've
what?
never heard that?
I think I love that. I've never heard that.
The
Give
other
it
one
the
is,
beans.
I love that.
when in doubt, give her the onion.
Yes, I love that one. What do they mean? I have no idea. No
Is that
idea
a
where they
Midwest
came
thing?
from.
Ohio thing or what?
It might be a
It
Midwest.
means it's a hit the throttle thing.
Yeah,
Give it
yeah.
the beans,
Give
huh?
it
I've
the
heard
beans.
it,
Give it
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
All right.
This old guy was getting it. He was going after it. But
Beans
yeah,
and
it was
onions?
like we were both on the same machine. He probably even looked at me and he's like, God, this disc wheel, this guy. Like he was probably looking at it, he's like, I'm working harder than this fellow over
His
here.
shins all covered.
Yeah, exactly, with his ski socks on and his disc wheel.
In the same breath, though, like let's say Evan Price shows up to our group ride on his TT bike, and we're out there hammering on our road bikes, and he's just
I would never do
dusting.
this. I would never do this for the record.
You did that to you did that to Handel's KOM out there.
Okay, that was
Oh
different.
yeah.
No, 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 no.
Wait,
I
you
only
took
went
a-
after it after he
Yes,
got-
yes,
I
that
thought,
was
I'm gonna
different.
try this on the road bike, and there's no way.
Yes, it is cheating for that KOM, but I think that KOM now has it's like, okay, you got the TT guys versus the group ride. I think that's what that KOM has become.
That's why I kept. That's why I
Hold on.
titled my ride. You got to get better,
Did you see the GCN video that came out this past weekend with
Yeah.
5v1?
dude. They had a pro riding with it.
But still, they still dropped the one guy off the back, so it was only
Ollie.
4. Yeah, Ollie got dropped early
I
on.
love Bridgewater.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite YouTube videos I've seen in the last. As
they've
they
done
did
it
the
1v2.
documentary on Ollie getting dropped off the back.
Yeah, 1v2, 1v3, 1v4, and they just did 1v5 and finally got Cy.
Yeah. Well,
So-
it was still 4 because Ollie got dropped off the beat.
This is true.
It was still
It was
4 guys.
one guy on a time trial bike versus 5 guys on road bikes.
And
Correct.
one
Okay.
legit pro guy who is racing as a professional right now.
And he was on the road bike, or
He was on the road
He was on the
bike,
road
yes.
bike.
Arrow was
I mean,
king.
Cy is legit though. I mean, Cy is very, very
Yes.
fast. So yeah. Arrow is king, absolutely.
for the e-bike.
But
thing.
I will say, riding a TT bike very fast, it gets a little underestimated how hard that actually is.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to take that away from you.
That position is hard to maneuver, control, and put power out in. Once you get used to it, would anybody at this table after 3 months on a TT bike be able to snag those? Absolutely. But it's still like me going for that KOM. I am still flogging myself for that. It's just riding an e-bike is absolutely fine. But when you're talking about like, does it bother you as a cyclist? Yeah. Because it's like you get to the top of this beautiful mountain and you're like, man, everybody up here had to push pedals to get up here. And there's the guy that got the engine attached to the bike.
Okay, so I could understand that if it was like me or Lance or Chris jumping on the bike and kind of goading you all the way up and getting to the bike and getting to enjoy that and saying that I put in the same work and effort. But that's just not the case here, in my opinion. I think that there are a ton of people that could get on
Yeah.
that bike and would never be able to make it up that in a million years. Could they train for eons to try and get up there eventually? Sure, maybe, but I
Yeah.
want them to be able to enjoy that as well and see you
Yeah.
guys getting up there and say, well, I had to do it on an e-bike. Maybe I'm going to go out there and I'm going to work a little bit harder so that maybe I can someday.
If it
do
does
on a
that, that
bike.
would
So-
be great. If it's a gateway drug to actual cycling, then that's great.
And I think it isn't. You've got a lot of people where like a husband or wife.
Yes, couples.
Yes, I do. I do
Where-
preface this too with
Yeah.
like, I mean, trust me, if I'm 85 and I'm like, man, the pedals are getting
Yeah.
a lot stickier,
Well,
I'm for sure getting an
you've
e-bike
got
because
like
I still want to be outside.
A husband and wife, and I'm not going to do this one where it's the wife that can't keep up with the husband. Remember
Because
the
it could be the other way.
Remember the
No,
Patreon, the new
absolutely, it's
Patreon
gonna
that
be
have
the
Sarah
other way.
Gates?
Sarah Gates.
They just, she and her husband, he got the e-bike because she's the little
Sarah's
gravel
dropping it.
crusher so
Yeah.
she can keep up with them.
There you go.
Or so he can
Yep.
keep up with her, rather. Yeah, that's a perfect example of those where one spouse can ride with the other where that normally wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
How much fun did you and Brandy have?
A blast.
Yes.
Absolute blast. Buzzing
Yeah.
around on those. And we've gone on rides where I've been on my road bike, Brandy's on the e-bike, and it works.
It's just,
Yeah.
And we're together instead of,
Yeah.
How about commuting? Would you love to?
But you also,
like to get
but
your
you also
workout.
like that person, so you're not gonna. We're
I
talking.
do like
I'm talking
my
about
wife.
what is your initial instinct when a random person comes. This isn't if
Listen,
Brandy comes flying by you on the e-bike.
I
which is
would
just
only
funny.
be upset if there's Strava segments involved. That would be the
Okay.
only reason. I'd
That's
be
a
upset.
different story. Yeah,
Otherwise,
different story.
I'm just happy to see people outside on bikes.
Exactly.
And that's what anything that gets people moving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our with technology and our lifestyle, just from a health standpoint,
Yes.
I know this all the time. Just move. I don't care what you do.
Exactly.
But there's a recent study showing that you get pretty dang good exercise. You burn quite a
Yeah,
few
you
calories
do.
on a freaking
Yeah.
e-bike.
I mean, even if they're only
America
putting out
during-
100, 150
Yeah.
watts, that's still
Not even
150
that.
more watts
Not
per.
even that. So if it gets people moving,
Yeah.
absolutely, I'm all for it.
Yep.
Now, do I sometimes get that way
I-
on my commute? Because I get the
I'm
e-bike.
being honest just about my gut instinct to
What
it. I'm,
really, what really gets me
Yeah.
is I'm very much a rule follower, right? So every red light, I'm stopping and doing
Yeah.
it right. When the guy on the freaking e-bike
Blows a
who's
red
doing-
light or something, yeah.
yeah, they'll run through. I'm like, what are you? You're on an
yeah.
e-bike.
You're not even a real cyclist.
You don't even need to power up. You're
You're
not
a
even-
motorcyclist.
and you still have to run the lights and the stop
Yep.
signs, dude. Come on, you're on a freaking scooter.
Yeah, exactly. I know. That's your instinct, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different
Where
than when
if-
it's Brandy and Lance going on a wonderful evening ride together. It's a completely different story.
And not that I don't get mad at it when they run. I've mellowed out a bit. Said, okay, fine, run the red light. You get hit. But when you're on an e-bike, that just it gets me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Because
ugh.
everybody already hates us so much. It's like,
And that's what it is.
I've got yelled at in Vancouver like so there.
It's not that.
I think it's the three same guys running by me who are just like, this guy, I hate him. He's out here on this weird black bike every single week.
As a commuter, you want to be an ambassador for the sport,
Right.
Because it really is. It doesn't have to be. I know. I have a relationship with cars, right?
Yeah.
You have a relationship with cars. Bad, like cars suck. Yeah, they cause damage, and I've been there myself. But I when they do things right, I try to acknowledge it and wave to them and say, thank you
Yes.
for doing the right thing.
Yep.
Right.
Because what they'll remember, they'll forget 99 cyclists that they go by. It's the one jackhole that
Yes.
runs in front
Yep.
of them or scares them.
Yep.
Because,
Yeah.
holy crap, I almost hit you because you didn't follow the
you were
rules.
being an idiot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then every cyclist is that one person.
Yep.
And that's understandable. That's just human nature. So you do your best out there to be a good ambassador and survive at the same time. And generally, if you're predictable, you'll do okay. As far as
Keyword
community goes.
predictable. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, is
Yep.
predictability.
Yep.
Both times I broke my collarbone, it wasn't, the car did something unpredictable, but it's because a cyclist did something unpredictable in front of the car is how it ended up. And I just learned to get, partly it was conditions weren't ideal and I was a little too close, going a little too fast. But so part of it was my fault. But at the same time, it wouldn't have ever happened if everybody would have been predictable. So
Gotcha.
just be predictable.
Gotcha.
So, real quick follow-up question to that. A couple years down the road, let's say that bike organizers are getting together and starting to organize e-bike races.
Heck yeah.
You think so?
Heck yeah.
Yep.
You think so?
It'd be a whole different group. It'd bring in a whole different kind of racer.
I would be 100% all for cruiser bike races in road races where that's an actual division. You throw a motor on it, no, I'm done. I'm out. No, it's over. That's not biking anymore. That's a motorcycle
You
race.
still got to handle it.
That's a motorcycle race.
You still
You
got
got
to
to handle a motorcycle. That is a motorcycle race. I've only ridden one of these things once. I'll tell you what, as soon as I hit that pedal and I was up to 20 miles an hour, that was the most fun I've had in a second. I would have thought, this should not be allowed. This is too much fun. It is awesome.
All right, let's move on to a couple more. I got so many, but I don't think we're going to be able to touch on all of them because we're getting a little long here.
Sorry.
No, these are all great topics to discuss. We could probably go off and spend a little more time on them. All right, this one is a good one, I think. We're all friends at this table, right?
Well,
kind of.
Yeah.
Friend adjacent. Friendish.
Ish.
Acquaintances.
We've got a lot of other friends on the team, right? Why is it that when we go out and get on bikes, we all decide that we need to absolutely punish each other?
Yeah.
Why do we beat the snot out of each other and take victory in that, take pride in that, and put a big smile on our face watching our friends suffer so much?
There are people who don't always. It's you and you.
What are you pointing at me for?
And sometimes you're a bit more planned out about it.
I like to be a little bit planned with it. Yeah. Yeah.
There's some where it's like, oh no, that's cool. We can chill. I'm a socializer. When I go on, I like chit chatting and doing that.
Sure,
I'm cool
sure.
with going slow the whole time. It's you guys up front. Start pushing it, and it's gradual. And it's like a frog boiling in a pot. And pretty soon you're just hammering because you're like, you gotta stop. Sorry, I gotta stop talking. It was nice talking to you because now we're hammering.
Because Hepler and Jake are freaking killing it on the front.
So when we went up Larch, this exact situation happened when we were going to go up Gibson next. We were down to a smaller group. It was maybe 8 of us. And we're going up Gibson, and everybody agreed. I'm going to blame Hatfield for this. This is 100% Hatfield.
He'll do it.
So we're all rolling up, and me and David Goodman are literally halfway through a sentence talking with Jay Fielding about how, this is going to be like zone 2 going up this. Let's just keep it chill.
Yeah, nice
like, we got some of the kids with us. Finally, it's kids, or of course, ones that drop everybody. We're like, oh, no, like, keep it slow for the kids, as we know that they're going to drop us at some point. But we get there, and then it just starts like, okay, pushing a little bit. We're like, not zone 2 anymore. What's Hatfield doing? Hatfield's going off the front, pushing. Now Nate goes up to him, and me being a massive hypocrite is, I look back at David, I'm like, this is zone 2 anymore, and then I just follow the move, and then everybody's going all out all the way up Gibson.
Nate's not,
and then we just flog each other all the way up. Yeah,
and you're not going to let Nate go.
Well, I'm not going to let Nate outclimb me.
Hatfield and Nate in front of you.
Nate puts out 1.5 million watts. I have to have the hills. The hills are all I have as a cyclist. That in the TT position, and most of you don't have TT bikes. So if it's going uphill, I'm not going to let Nate stay with me.
Hatfield and my daughter and I went on a ride on Sunday.
Yeah.
He waited for us. He did the same dang thing going up Larch. And it's with Kylie and I, right? He's pushing. Kylie's dropping off the back. I talk for him for a while, try to slow him down a bit.
I love it though. Hatfield cracks me up because he's the nicest human being alive. That's the funniest thing about cyclists is it's like this killer instinct to make the person next to you suffer. It's from the nicest people you ever meet.
Yeah,
it's a weird conundrum. It is.
Oh, that's good times right there. I'm just curious what that psychology is all about. Maybe I need to have my wife on the show someday, the PhD psychologist, to let us know
absolutely.
why it is that we do this to each other.
You bond with the people that you suffer with.
This is true.
And it is. That's what...
And even more if you make them suffer.
Adversity does that, right?
Yes.
All right. Do you guys want more, or is that enough?
One more.
One more?
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have any conundrums out there that you want to ask while I kind of go through my list here? Is there anything that you guys are thinking about?
Yeah, why so much mustache hate? Go ahead, Jake.
Why so much mustache hate? I don't know. I don't get any of that mustache hate from me. I'm fine.
Shut up.
All right, we'll go out on this one. Why do bikes have to cost so damn much?
Oh,
that's a great one.
Seriously. I mean, I know that there's a lot of research and design, and I know that there's a lot of fine components out there that are finely crafted. But I'm looking at some of the new BMCs coming out, and I got a little sneak peek behind the doors, and I'm going to say it if I get in trouble. I don't know. Sorry, BMC. They've got a new Campagnolo build coming out. That's going to be
$250,000. I assume.
Pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah. It's was it $15,000 or $16,000?
Wait, is that the masterpiece?
16.9.
No, it's not even the masterpiece. The masterpiece, that's just a frame module, and it's a road machine, which is their more endurance bike. Just the frame module, which is going to be your frame, your fork, your bars, your stem, and your seat post. That is a $10,000 frame module. Why?
Because it's a masterpiece. Look, cool costs. Going fast costs. Being pretty costs.
Being lightweight costs.
Yes.
You know, there's the running joke. It's like when you get up to like that $4,000 or $5,000 bike, like each $1,000 you go up, your bike loses like a pound. So you're basically paying $1,000 to drop a pound off the bike.
I think there is a sweet spot there.
Yeah.
But that sweet spot is still really expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, bringing me back to the earlier days when I first started riding.
Sure.
And of course, my wife's 7-speed that she bought when she was 15, and we're older now.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my brother, the cyclist. I'm like, hey, I'm looking into buying a bike.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's great. What are you thinking? What's your price range? I was thinking, 300. I might be able to go to 500. He did not stop laughing for like 3 minutes straight. He was freaking rolling on the ground, being like, "Yeah, that ain't happening, buddy.
No, you're not gonna find it."
Yeah,
no.
So it's getting used to that. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, there's the old adage of you put your pension where your passion is, and I understand that, but I really wish that. I mean, some bikes are kind of affordable, but there is a performance advantage there. I mean, if I were to put Evan on like a brand new like $1,500 bike, he's still going to make it go wicked fast. But if I put him on a $10,000 bike, he is going to go faster.
Oh, I mean, that like I told you that lay I was riding has a special place in my heart to the day that I die. I'm never giving up that frame ever. But that bike now is going on 12 years old, and it was aluminum, and I bought it on a shop discount. It was 9-speed.
Yep.
I mean, the wheels were not fast, and it's, I mean, that bike, you could probably buy these. I probably could have sold that bike for $200-300 maybe.
Well, half its weight's in duct tape right now. But
I mean, like it was a Franken bike and had multiple crashes on it too, and that's like you can still go fast on that bike, but then I get on the SLR01 and I'm like, oh god, okay, this bike's a lot faster. So it's tough because then if you are able to afford that already places you faster than somebody. Yeah. And this is why I hate running shoes in the new world too, which is I do completely different argument, but the carbon plates going into shoes, it's like it's just these constant like cost barriers where at the bottom line is, Chris, you put it best, is the fastest people in America that could be cyclists aren't riding bikes, and it maybe is that cost barrier.
That would be really nice if we could see the cost of bikes come down.
We had a couple Bob rolls. We need another generation of Bob rolls.
How do you get is it a volume thing?
Well, that's the thing. These manufacturers are all making plenty of volume. It's not like they're only making like a small handful of bikes during the run of a bike, frame module or whatever. Evan, you got to scoot out of here.
Got to run the kids class.
Do you want to say one last thing real quick?
One last thing. 2 weeks to race, 13 days to race day. And let me think.
When are you going to get married?
That's okay. That's a question we've been getting.
Still discussing that?
Still discussing. Yeah.
Next weekend?
It'll be fun, but yeah.
Before the race?
Well, I'll slowly update on that as Cassie will probably get mad at me that I'm even like trying to make any promises on that.
This is not your day, Evan. It's hers.
Not this month is what I'm going to say.
Well, thanks for your time, Evan. We know it's precious, and congratulations
again. Thanks, Evan.
See you guys.
So, to go back to your question about the bikes, I don't think it's necessarily a production thing or like where they're not making enough units. And not for nothing, a lot of the bike manufacturers, their bikes all come from the same place. And they're all getting kind of the close same components. I mean, it's either going to be SRAM or Shimano and a very small percentage of Campagnolo. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm told that there's certain factories that make the same bikes or make bikes for all the big manufacturers out there, and they all come out of the same place. And some of them can be wildly more expensive just because of the branding on there. And I know that you've got the cost of doing business. You're going to have operational costs that you've got to cover and all that stuff. And I don't know. I just don't understand why it costs so much. But again, that's probably why I don't own a major bicycle manufacturing company. So
I got to be honest. I've been cycling kind of seriously for 15 years.
Yeah.
My first brand new bike I ever bought was only 3 years ago.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that was going to be my next point, is that you can go get the same bike 2 years down the road for half the price. And even if it was well taken care of, you're still going to get it for, 45% less than what the MSRP was if that person really took good care of it. Yeah. I mean, it almost cuts in half after 2 years.
I also had no idea what I was looking for. I just bought crap off Craigslist and just wrote it because I didn't know any better.
Yeah. That's funny.
It worked okay.
I just keep breaking mine.
That's
how I get a new bike.
Yeah,
every couple of years.
I guess that was partly why I got into this whole biking thing, is because I was so cheap. I didn't want to be out there buying new bikes. I'm like, all right, I get a discount now. All right, I'm going to put a fork in that. I've got another 5 or 6 here that we'll have to save for another time, and we will move on.
That's because we can't get Hannah to shut up.
Right? I told you guys, I don't care about your show. I just came here to get my Blake's bread. Bread.
Your breaks. Your bled breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been our MO.
Bleed my brakes.
Bleed them.
Yep. Let's jump into one last thing. Lance, go first.
I'm going to race again this weekend.
You don't say. What race is that?
It is the Mudslinger Cross Country Mountain Bike Race this weekend. It's like been going on for like 35 years or something ridiculous.
Yep, and that's Mike Ripley's event, who was on with us probably about a month ago.
Yep. So I'm excited to do. It's his first event of the year, and I'm going to go line up and break some hearts.
What's the format?
It is time trial format.
Still?
Yes. The venue is too small to stage a mass start. So it will be a remote time trial start and a remote finish.
Boo.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, Chris, Hannel, Shabadoo. One last thing.
Stay vigilant out there, I guess. I don't really have any other one last thing. Baker City. Baker City Cycling Classic. It sounds like it's going to happen.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
It's the end of June. I know that's a long ways, but that is probably the most fun I've ever had. And I've had a lot of fun racing with these guys. But it's a fantastic. Where else can you do a stage race? They have the one in Bend.
Yep.
Sometimes they allow the lower cats in. Sometimes they don't.
Cascade
Depends on the
Classic.
year.
Yep.
Yeah.
But outside of that, in Oregon at least, that's it for stage racing.
That's true.
There's nothing. It was so much fun doing a stage race.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're going to have Walla Walla, right?
Walla Walla is probably going to happen.
And Tour de Bloom.
Tour de Bloom potentially could happen. Is that in Spokane?
I think it's around there somewhere. It's
Yeah.
in Washington somewhere.
Yeah.
But here in our backyard, Cascade Classic, June 25th, 26th, and 27th, if my memory serves me correct. And you ask, Jake, why do you remember that date? Because that's my son's birthday is on the 26th. I don't know if I can make that. We're supposed to be doing like a little trip thingy.
It's also
I'll talk to you later.
It's also the same weekend as the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder 5-day gravel stage race. So I'm signed up for several
But
events.
you did that last
weekend.
year, and you're like, I hated this. I wish I was with you guys. Remember?
I actually came and like spent the night with you
I
guys
know.
because I like missed my teammates. I know. I'm confused.
All right. My one last thing, real quick, is I am going to be gone and out of town the next 2 weekends. I'm going to have to miss some team rides. So, I'm going to be going down to Phoenix on Thursday of this week. So, the Dialed Cycling Lab might very well be closed on Thursday and Friday unless Lance wants to come down and hang out.
I might be, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, but my question is, do I take my road bike or my gravel bike to Phoenix? Because I only get to take one.
That's a tough call.
I'm thinking gravel bike. That's kind of where my mind's going because I think that bike's a lot of fun to ride, and I think that there's some gravelish stuff out there, and I can still get my road stuff in on that if I want to. But if I want to go ride gravel on my road bike, that ain't happening.
Are you going to be downtown Phoenix or on the west side or the east side?
I think it's a little bit more towards the east side, towards the hills.
Because the riding on the east side, the road riding is phenomenal out there.
Really?
Yes. Plus, you've got South Mountain, great climb, right? In downtown Phoenix or just south of downtown Phoenix? I don't know. I really like my road bike in Phoenix.
Do you?
But I've taken my gravel bike and had a blast on that too. I'm no help.
Oh. It's a conundrum.
Never been.
Hey, you sit across the table from me.
See, I got this friend named Joey Jojo Junior Shabadoo.
That's the worst name I ever heard.
Joey Jojo!
Thank you so much for coming in today.
That is the beautiful part, though.
Yes.
That he was at the end of the bar, and that was his name.
Yes.
That's genius.
Yes.
And he runs out of the bar crying his eyes
Yeah.
out. And Barney's like, Joey Jojo.
I should have left that part in there. I didn't know that was so like dear to you, but I did crop that down just a tiny bit.
It's just beautiful.
Thank you for coming in. This was fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, too bad you have to like work and like treat patients.
No,
and
you
all
can come
that
back
kind
next
of
week. You can take every Monday off.
stuff. Yeah.
I just want to bleed some brakes.
Telecommute or something. Yeah. Cool. All right, for everybody listening on the podcasts, we appreciate you listening. For those that watched today on YouTube, you can go to If you want to go watch the replay, you can go back to youtube.com/dialed cycling and catch this whole thing, whole replay if you'd like. We really appreciate everybody's support and all of our Patreons. You guys are the best. We will see everybody next week, and you can hear us too. Till then, bye for now.